Sam Rogers with you alongside Tom Downey. We've got a game tonight, Chicago Bears and Baltimore Ravens. Let's take a look at our latest batch of NFL power rankings, starting from the bottom, of course. Miami, New York, Arizona, and Buffalo. The theme, AFC East teams not named New England.
Is bad.
Yeah.
It's very bad. And the reality is that I think at least one, if not two of those teams will finish much higher in the overall standings because they all play each other.
Right.
So they'll get some wins somehow.
Somebody's got to win.
I mean, we saw last year the Jets started the year really hot, and then they kind of cooled off. And even the Bills managed to make the playoffs last year, and they think they're going to take a big, big step back next year. So I don't trust the AFC East. I don't trust Arizona either. Those are kind of the teams that I don't think are going to make a playoff run. Maybe Arizona, but that NFC is just so tough.
Yeah.
It's so difficult.
Yep, very, very deep conference. So who's going to end up with that #1 overall selection? Let us know. We're talking about the 2019 NFL Draft, a.k.a. who's going to finish dead last in the league.
I lean toward Miami.
I don't know, actually. It's a very hard guess.
I've seen some more buzz on Twitter about the Seahawks, by the way, finishing last.
Oh, man.
If Russell Wilson gets hurt,
well, yeah,
that'll happen.
No doubt.
And I think at some point he just might end up getting hurt.
All right, let's check in with the next slate of 4 here. Browns, Colts, Bengals, and Bears. Bears play tonight, Tom, but for Cincinnati, Indianapolis, and Cleveland, any potential noise this year?
I mean, I think if you ask the players and coaches on those teams, they'll be like, yeah, we can make a playoff run. And talent-wise, maybe not for Indianapolis, but for the Bengals and Browns, I think that they have a strong argument there. The issue is, well, their coaches are not very good.
Right.
How can we trust them?
Yeah. Let's take a look at the Chicago Bears playing tonight. No Mitchell Trubisky. But Chicago had a very interesting offseason. Allen Robinson comes to town. Trey Burton comes to town as well. They draft Roquan Smith, whom they still have to sign. Matt Nagy is the new head coach of Chicago, too. So a lot of changes, a lot of turnover. Nagy is a really good offensive mind. Gone are the days of the conservative play calling from John Fox. Maybe there's some actual excitement with this Chicago franchise now.
I think there will be some flashes and some awesome moments between Tariq Cohen and Allen Robinson and Trey Burton with, I guess it's now the Chicago special, and Nagy in there. I think it'll just take some time. I think playing in the NFC, the Bears I've seen as some more popular dark horse pick, and I get it. I think there's a lot of good pieces there. I like the way they're building. I think Chicago is at least 1 year away from making a true playoff run in what is going to be a very, very tough NFC North.
But I will say, Tom, eventually they will be a class team in the NFC, I think.
If Trubisky develops the way that everyone thinks he will, yes, they absolutely will be.
All right, let's take a look at some more teams here, 24 through 21. Tampa Bay, Washington, the Giants, and the Baltimore Ravens. This is kind of the purgatory territory. Don't really know where they're headed.
I think that's a good way of putting it. I think all 4 of those teams could maybe make a bit of a somewhat surprise, or maybe less so for the Ravens, or even potentially for the Giants, given how good they were a year ago. But I don't really trust any of these teams for a variety of reasons. The Bucs, I don't trust their coaching staff. You know, the Giants, I don't trust Eli Manning. The Redskins, I think, are going to finish actually last in the NFC East this year. And then Baltimore, Cam, I think that they'll finish around 9-7 again because it is the AFC. But I don't fear them at all. Like, at no point do I go, oh, man, Baltimore, they're going to make some noise if they make it in the playoffs. That's not a team that, makes me think that.
The Ravens are a team that usually don't generate a lot of off-season hype, but once you enter the month of December and you see Joe get hot and you see that defense creating plays, that's when the likes of...
You lost me at Joe getting hot.
Oh, just stop it. That's when the likes of the Steelers, the Patriots, the Jaguars start to shake in their boots a little bit. Maybe not the Jags because they have owned the Ravens lately, but New England and Pittsburgh for sure because the Ravens can pack their bags, travel, and compete.
That's fair, but I also can't hate to say it. I don't trust Joe Flacco.
Total spin zone, by the way.
Yeah, I know it is. I'm just choosing to ignore it.
Like a politician, right?
Look, I don't believe in Baltimore. If you want to put them in the top 20, okay, but it's got to be, low teens.
All right, let's take a look at 20 through 16 here. Seattle, Denver, Oakland, Detroit, and Kansas City. Couple, or actually a few, AFC West teams, a division that's going to be really intriguing to watch.
Yeah, I like that these are grouped together because these 5 teams here, I would not be surprised if one of them actually finished near the bottom of the NFL this year. Chiefs have some big question marks with Patrick Mahomes and how he fares. There's been some ups and downs training camp, which makes sense for a young quarterback. Denver did not play well last year. Oakland did not play all that well last year. We'll see how they look amidst the Khalil Mack issues. Detroit, I think, will be around a 500 team. And then Seattle, I don't like their roster right now. I don't like the moves they made in the offseason. And if Russell Wilson goes down, this team will not win a game without him. because they have nothing at quarterback, and their entire offense is dependent on Wilson running around for his life and throwing the ball around to Doug Baldwin and a bunch of questionable receivers and tight ends right now. This team is not that good without Wilson, and I mean that as the highest praise for Russell Wilson.
Well, I think the main problem is Seattle is a team without an identity. I don't know who they are. I don't know what to base my evidence off of in terms of actually saying Seattle is a good team. I can't find any evidence out there. I don't know who they are. So maybe we'll learn more as we go throughout the preseason into the regular season.
I think Seattle wants to run the ball more. That's why they drafted Rashad Penny. That's why they like Chris Carson
Extended
so much.
Dwayne Brown.
The issue is, what offensive line are you going to run the ball behind? That's my big problem there for Seattle.
Okay, up to number 16 in our NFL Power Rankings, and we're looking fantastic as we break it down because we're wearing mizzen and main. These are comfortable as F shirts, really comfortable, Tom. I mean, I put them on this morning, and I'm just like, it's a breath of fresh air.
It gets really hot here in Dallas, but these shirts make it a little bit more manageable.
Absolutely. Yeah. Get it done. Comfortable.af is the website. All right, let's continue along. Go to number 15 on our list of Power Rankings. So, checking in here, the Dallas Cowboys, Tom, and I think Dallas could go in a couple directions this season. If that defense pans out, if that linebacking core stays healthy with Smith and Sean Lee and Leighton Vander Esch, and that secondary improves, I could see this defense creating a lot of turnovers, Dallas being really high in the turnover margin territory with a good run game and protecting the football, 10-6.
I think it's absolutely within realm. I think 10-6 will be their record. At the same time, 10-6 might not be enough to get you in the playoffs this year. That is a serious possibility there. So Tavon Austin, I think the Cowboys are banking on being a little bit more important than, say, he was with the Rams at halfback and receiver. The big keys for the Cowboys are, A, does that secondary take that next big step forward? Byron Jones has looked fantastic in his move down to cornerback this year. The other big key, Cam, is the receiving game. Des Bryant, Jason Witten, they are gone. Ryan Switzer also gone, though he was not a big factor because the Cowboys didn't know how to use him for whatever reason. And then on top of that, the other big problem is, who do you actually throw the football to? Hearns has looked okay. Cole Beasley has looked good in camp, and so has Michael Gallup. But the reality is you're banking on a slot receiver, a third-round pick, and Allen Hearns, who has some flashes but is often injured, to replace two of your all-time greats in Des Bryant and Jason Witten. I mean, Des has the most touchdowns in Cowboys history. Witten has the most catches.
And you have a lot of questions about that offense, obviously.
The ground game, the offensive line is going to be great. I just don't know how confident I feel in the end about that passing game. I think that might be the difference between 10 wins and 11 wins, which might be the difference between making the playoffs as a wild card team or finishing 19th again and getting left at home.
Dallas at number 15 on the list. Let's go to number 14. We will stay in the state of Texas and talk about the Houston Texans. And for Houston, it's all about Deshaun Watson and his health. Can he stay healthy? And from an offensive line perspective, I worry about Deshaun's health.
That's my big concern here with Houston is I trust their quarterback. I trust the defense. I trust the skill position guys. I don't trust that offensive line. And we've seen how bad they are without Deshaun Watson last year. Really because they had no good backup quarterback, and that's still in reality kind of the case right now for Houston.
Brandon Weeden assumed to be the backup.
If Deshaun Watson goes down, this team's in trouble again, and then maybe Bill O'Brien ends up on the hot seat again. So I put Houston above Dallas for a good reason. I think they're a better team overall right now, but they have to keep Watson. I think that offensive line, kind of like what I've said for Seattle in the past, could hold them back. That's my big concern for Houston.
All right, the Texans are there at number 14. Let's take a look at number 13 now, going to a playoff team coming out of the NFC South. The Carolina Panthers. They're always a tough team to read because they never really generate offseason hype. They're not a flashy team by any means, Tom. They go out, they grind, they win football games. They go 11-5 and become a wild card team last season. For Carolina and Cam Newton, new offensive coordinator now in town in North Turner. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of offense he implements. C.J. Anderson is there in the backfield. Jonathan Stewart is not. So a couple of changes here. And you have DJ Moore at wide receiver, the rookie out of Maryland. He could be a spark plug.
I'm concerned about Carolina because, Cam, every year there are at least 4 teams that made the playoffs the previous year and missed it the next season. And I think Carolina strikes me as one of those possibilities because, A, they've already lost Andrew Norwell. Now they've lost Darrell Williams. I don't really trust that secondary. And frankly, I'm not sure how much I trust North Turner either on offense. I think they'll be fine, but I could see some scenarios where Carolina, they win 9 games again this year, at least 9 games, maybe 10, but they end up coming up just short in what is going to be a very, very tough NFC South.
Yep, absolutely.
Ross Cockrell, by the way, also out for the year after he broke his leg. So they're already down 2 potential starters up front, or on offense and defense, I should say.
Yep, and you mentioned the turnover. Carolina could be a part of that, going from the playoffs and being out that next year. All right, let's go to number 12 on the list. We have an LA team to talk about. The Chargers that seem to get Super Bowl hype year in and year out for some ungodly reason. Although this year, there seems to be more evidence off of that. Good edge rushers, good secondary, Melvin Gordon.
I will not hype them up as a Super Bowl contender or a threat. I will say, though, that I think that they should be considered the favorite right now in the AFC West. I think in reality, they have the most stable quarterback spot in Phillip Rivers. No disrespect to Derek Carr, but he took a step back last year. Mahomes is really, in reality, a first-year player because he barely played at all last year. And Case Keenum is, well, you know what, he's just Case Keenum. So I think they have that going for them. And as you mentioned, that defense is great. Now, maybe they bring back Antonio Gates to help replace Hunter Henry, but what always concerns me about LA/San Diego, Cam, the injuries. They've already lost Hunter Henry. They've already lost Jason Verrett. That could be a big, big problem for them going forward.
Yeah, it seems like the Chargers are just snake bit with injuries. Now, are they Super Bowl contenders? Type away, folks. Type C for yes, D for no. I am straight up saying D, D, D. This team needs to win their freaking division first before I can say they're a Super Bowl contender.
Their problems the past couple years have also been with winning close games. I think they'll be better with that, and they showed a little bit better down the stretch last year, and that's what in the end cost them a playoff spot. But I do need to see them actually win more close games, and in the end, yes, please win your division first and foremost, Cam.
Okay, tough division at that. AFC West.
Very minimal differentiation between LA
Agreed.
and the Chiefs, and you saw that there with Chiefs and even Denver and Oakland too. Very small.
All right, let's go to number 11 on the list. We have the San Francisco 49ers just outside the top 10. A lot of buzz about this team with Jimmy Garoppolo going 5-0 with this squad in 2017. They bring in Weston Richburg to solidify the interior. They bring in an all-pro in Richard Sherman. Jerick McKinnon gets paid big time as well, and the losses aren't all that bad. Trent Brown via a trade, Daniel Kilgore via a trade as well, and Carlos Hyde, whom is pretty replaceable because Kyle Shanahan knows what he's doing with running backs.
Well, I think they overpaid for McKinnon, but I think
Fair.
he's a good player in the Shanahan scheme. I didn't love more or less giving away Trent Brown for actually not that much in the end, but look, they were so good last year with Jimmy Garoppolo, you would assume they're going to take even a potential another step forward this year, but Cam, I do think they're at least a little bit overhyped for a team that in reality, we're basing all this off of a 5-game sample. That's what we're basing it on, and maybe a little bit from Jimmy G with the Patriots, but overall for the Niners, I think they are just a tinge overhyped in the end.
This cannot be a Tampa Bay Buccaneers of last year type of situation.
That is my number one
And that
fear.
is a very fair fear to have. So the 49ers have to fend off the outside noise. That's why teams, Tom, like to really relish that underdog role where everybody's doubting them. It's easier to play better. It's easier to play looser. Meanwhile, for San Francisco, they're getting the exact opposite. They're getting all the hype, all the praise. So.
The hype is sometimes tough to deal with. I think the Niners will be a playoff team, but I do think there are enough questions to say, hey, let's pump the brakes here just a little bit in the end.
All right, so the 49ers check in at number 11 on the list. Let's take a look at the summary here. Dolphins, Jets, Cardinals, and Bills are the bottom 4 teams. We got the Browns, Colts, Bengals, and Bears. They are 28 through 25. Bears play tonight, Tom.
Should be a fun game.
Yep.
Nice to see some of those young players. The rest of the team, well, the big name guys will not be playing. But hey, at least football.
It's football, baby. Bucs, Redskins, Giants, and Ravens 24 through 21. And then 20 through 16, we got Seattle, Denver, Oakland, Detroit, Kansas City. At number 15, the Dallas Cowboys check in there in the middle. Houston's there as well, Carolina, the Chargers, and the San Francisco 49ers at number 11. So with that, let's get to the top 10 on the list. We've got the Tennessee Titans, a team that could no doubt emerge in the AFC South, Tom. I have them actually capturing the division. I think the offensive line is in a good place. I love Derrick Henry this year, and I think Marcus Mariota makes that extra step. But for me, it's more about that front 7 with Jarrell Casey and Brian Orakpo and Derek Morgan. Avery Williamson is no longer there. That's okay. They have Rashaan Evans. I think they did a great job in the draft. Yes, the Cyprien injury is brutal, but but I think he can be replaced via a Vaccaro and Eric Reid, Tom, because the safety market is pretty deep.
It's surprisingly deep to be here at the start of August and have two, I think, starting caliber safeties on the market is rather unheard of. You are actually higher than me on the Titans, which surprised me because I kind of thought I would be the resident Titans hype man, but you've taken that responsibility from me. So thank you for that.
I got you. So now they're going to come after me if they finish fourth.
Exactly, because I like what Tennessee has talent-wise on their roster. Their coaching staff last year I thought was a disaster. They should not have won 9 games. They were more of a 6 or 7 win team last year. So they have to improve pretty significantly just to reach that 9-win mark, which is going to be a big red flag for the Titans in terms of potential regression candidates.
I want to mention Dion Lewis as well. I think he's a really dynamic running back. He'll be a great complement to Derrick Henry. All right, so we got the Titans there at number 10. Let's take a look at number 9 now, a team that had some injury issues at the quarterback position, talking about the Green Bay Packers. If Aaron Rodgers is back, the Packers are back.
I did move them down a little bit here because I think the loss of Jake Ryan is actually a little bit more of a notable one than maybe people are going to undersell it for, because they have Blake Martinez in there too, but Ryan was a starting caliber inside linebacker for them. He wasn't elite, but he was pretty good, and I thought the difference between number 9 and number 8, which we'll get to here in a second on our list, was so minimal that little minor injury actually did switch it just enough for me to make a change there.
Yeah.
But again, you said it best. As long as Aaron Rodgers is healthy, the Green Bay Packers will be not just a playoff threat, but a Super Bowl contender. Plain and simple.
You know, I'm going to be really interested to watch the Minnesota Vikings taking on the Green Bay Packers in those 2 games next year.
That's going to be great.
Because I think they're going to be some really good grinds, no doubt.
Oh, yeah. Those should be fun games, as long as Aaron does not get hurt again.
Yes. Packers are at number 9. Let's go to number 8 here and talk about perhaps the kings of the AFC North. I have the Pittsburgh Steelers capturing their respective division this year. For Pittsburgh, it's, look, them and the Patriots and the Jags as the class of the AFC. Everybody else is trying to swim along, if you will. And for Pittsburgh, they shouldn't have any problem taking down the Cincinnati Bengals. Historically, they don't. They'll probably steal 1 game against the Baltimore Ravens. They have Ben Roethlisberger. Assume that Le'Veon Bell will be there for week 1. Antonio Brown, the list goes on. Heck, could be Dez Bryant as well at some point. I think the Steelers are in fine position. They had a somewhat quiet offseason. John Bostic is now in town. Morgan Burnett is there as well. Those are pretty crucial additions.
This is a very similar team to what we saw last year in the end. Now, the big concern for me is at the interior of the linebacking core. Yeah, they brought in John Bostic. He is not as good as Ryan Shazier. That defense missed him last year. Maybe you see some Terrell Edmonds at linebacker, but
that'd be fun.
I don't trust that interior core. The good news is the killer bees are back, assuming Lev Bell does indeed come back down the stretch. I think there's a reason they're outside the top 5. I don't fully trust this team, because if they couldn't beat Jacksonville last year, why would they beat them this year? Unless you think that Jacksonville will regress a little bit, which is a strong possibility, or at least a possibility.
Okay, so the Steelers are there at number 8. Let's take a look at number 7 here, and we have the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, for the Jags, we know what they can do on that defensive side. You could go name after name after name and pick apart elite players. Jalen Ramsey is an elite player. Now, for the offensive side, you point to Blake Bortles. Can he make those throws in the AFC Championship game? He almost did it. He almost did it, Tom.
But he didn't.
He didn't. You're right.
And that was, I think, Jacksonville's best chance. So if he didn't do it then, why would he do it now? I don't trust Blake Bortles, Cam.
You don't, obviously.
I will continue to slander him because I don't think he is a true franchise guy. I think the rest of the team around him is very, very good. Jacksonville can win a lot with him, but I'm always going to bet on the team that has the more talented quarterback rather than the exceptions to the rules of rotting corpse of Peyton Manning and Trent Dilfer. I will always pick the quarterback there.
All right, can Blake Bortles win a Super Bowl? Type away. Type A for yes, type B for no. I think anything is possible per se.
Yes.
But
no.
No. Yeah, I'm typing B.
It's possible. Will he? No.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the next team on the list here. We have the Atlanta Falcons checking in at number 6. Dan Quinn and company coming off a pretty good season where they made some noise in the postseason for a little bit. Now, for Atlanta, really deep depth chart across the board.
I think in terms of overall roster talent and not putting too much value on, say, a quarterback, I think Atlanta has perhaps the best roster in the NFL. Maybe Minnesota is also up there. Like, what's their glaring hole? number 2 defensive tackle,
right?
Maybe guard, their 5th offensive lineman, tight end. They don't have many holes. And I think it's unfortunate they haven't won a Super Bowl because they should have won one already, of course. And frankly, they should have competed last year more so than they did. I did not like what Steve Sarkisian did. And if he has issues again this year, Cam, you got to fire him. Because this offense should be among the best offenses in the NFL, top 5 at minimum. Last year, they were basically middle of the pack. I don't know how you put an offense with Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Devonta Freeman, Tevin Coleman, Mohamed Sanu, and then Taylor Gabriel, and you make them into a middle of the pack offense. That's on the coaching staff right there. After a year where they were the best offense previously.
Well, they have Calvin this year, the wide receiver out of Alabama.
I'm a big Taylor Gabriel fan, but Calvin really is pretty damn good too.
Yeah, he's a good player, no doubt. All right, we got the Falcons at 6. We'll get to the top 5, but here is a summary of the power rankings so far. Miami checks in dead last, Tom. You think they could get that number 1 overall pick?
I think they absolutely could end up with it, and I think that would also mean bye-bye Adam Gase, unfortunately, who I do like as a head coach.
Jets, Cardinals, Bills as well. Browns, Colts, Bengals, and the Bears, 28 through 25. 24 through 21, you got the Bucs, the Redskins, the Giants, and the Baltimore Ravens. Towards the middle of the pack here, Seattle, Denver, Oakland, Detroit, Kansas City, potential playoff teams there.
I think some potential playoff teams, also some teams that could have a breakdown of the year and finish out of the top, or in the bottom of the 5 of the NFL this year.
15 through 11, Dallas, Houston, Carolina, the Chargers, and San Francisco into the top 10. Titans, Packers, Steelers, Jags, Falcons. These are the cream of the crop.
Yeah, and I think really more so 9 through 6 than all those 5 teams there. Those are the Super Bowl contenders this year, at least in my eyes, and your eyes as well, Cam.
Absolutely.
Maybe more so Tennessee for you.
Yeah, I'm a big Tennessee guy. Big Tennessee guy. All right, folks, you may be wondering why we look fantastic tonight, because we are wearing these fantastic mizzen and main shirts. They are comfortable as F. Get one for yourselves. www.comfortable.af.
You will not find a better looking or more comfortable dress shirt out there than Mizzen and Main.
Cam Rogers with you guys. It's NFL Daily. Tom Downey is alongside me. Let's go through the rest of these power rankings here and go into the top 5. At number 5, the New Orleans Saints. I love this team. Like the secondary a lot. They have Patrick Robinson at slot corner now. They have Ken Crawley. They have Marshawn Lattimore, the defensive rookie of the year from 2017. Okafor is there on the defensive line. Cam Jordan as well. Davenport, we'll see how he pans out. And oh yeah, that guy named Drew Brees at quarterback, Tom. It's all there for the Saints to make a run. Here is my question about New Orleans. They're playing in a very difficult division.
And I think that's kind of why you'll see some of these NFC teams not have the same record that they would have had they played, or had they played in the AFC, for example. The Saints are one such example because this is a 13-win caliber roster, I think, right now. And I'll give them credit. They are all in to win right now with Drew Brees. They traded up for Marcus Davenport. They signed Demario Davis, and they signed Patrick Robinson. Their defense last year overachieved more than I think even maybe the Saints themselves thought they were going to play. So what do? Rather than rest on their laurels and say, you know what, we'll play just like we did last year, they avoided regression by drafting a potential starter or signing a potential starter at each level of the defense. That's impressive for me.
That's when they know they're that close to a Super Bowl victory.
They think they are on the verge.
All right, what's your early Super Bowl 53 prediction? Hit us up in comments. I'm not going to say it yet. I'm going to hold off.
You're going to hate me, but I think Minnesota's going to the NFC.
Why would I hate you for that?
We'll get to Minnesota because you picked them last year and you were wrong.
Oh, yeah. PTSD
you were wrong,
right there. Let's go to number 4 here. Take a look at the L.A. Rams. Well, they won the offseason. Marcus Peters and Ndamukong Suh, Aqib Talib. It's a pretty darn good defensive core. And in terms of losses, yeah, Sammy Watkins moves on. I think that's okay. And Alec Ogletree gets traded to the Giants. But the Rams, oh, man, Tom. Wade Phillips, I'm telling you, is probably licking his chops as we stand, prepping for that defense to go off across the NFL in 2018. And now you got an offense that is coming off a season where they were #1 in scoring. So it's like, yeah, you could point to the linebacking core if you want to nitpick in terms of weaknesses, maybe edge rusher too, but LA is going to be right there all year long.
It's fitting that an LA team has all these fun, sexy pieces.
Exactly.
Todd Gurley, not Watkins, Brandon Cooks comes over, Watkins leaves, Marcus Peters, and Ndamukong Suh, Aqib Talib. At some point, Aaron Donald will show back up, you would assume, as well. The Rams were very aggressive in the offseason with trades. The draft wasn't as good because, well, they give up some key picks to get players like Peters and they get players like Brandon Cooks. They're going all in right now. Well, they have Jared Goff on that first-year deal, But now things kind of change. They were the surprise team last year. They're not going to surprise anyone this season. And that different mindset will affect the team. Now, how they handle that will determine if they win 11 games again, if they regress a bit, or if they get even better.
Eventually, the Rams are going to have to start paying people too, Tom. And keeping this core is going to be difficult. So they got to win now.
They can't keep everybody forever. They've committed to Brandon Cooks. They have committed to Todd Gurley as well.
Whitworth is getting older, though, at left tackle.
That'll free up some money. And at some point, Jared Goff wants a big, fat contract.
Sure.
You've seen it with Seattle. At a certain point, you can't afford everybody. That is the nature of today's salary cap era. You can't just buy all the good players.
All right, let's go to the top 3. At number 3 in our power rankings, we have our final AFC team, the New England Patriots, the class of their respective conference, projected to finish first in the AFC East. This is easy. Tom, New England is as automatic as death and taxes.
They're going to be one of, if not the best team in the AFC again, because that's just what the Patriots do. Yeah, I have some doubts about their front seven. I don't love their defensive line or their linebackers. But the Patriots overall, as long as Brady and Belichick don't kill each other, Cam, they're going to be just fine.
Yep. The friction within the Patriots organization
has been a little bit of it.
Heavily reported on, most notably from Wickersham of ESPN, saying that there are
the Cam show.
Yeah, saying that there are very real issues within that Patriots franchise.
I think that's the reality when you've been together for so long. It's like any relationship. At a certain point, you just have issues.
All right.
In the end, I think the Patriots will be okay, at least for the time being.
Let's go to number 2 on the list now. Talking about Super Bowl contenders here as we are towards the top. The Minnesota Vikings. And let me tell you, Minnesota is so stacked on defense, Tom. I don't think Kirk Cousins is probably even feeling any pressure.
That defense was the best defense in the entire NFL last year. And they replaced guys like Shamar Stephen and Tom Johnson with Sheldon Richardson because why not? And they drafted Mike Hughes in round 1. They got better on defense somehow. Now, maybe they end up kind of regressing just a little bit overall because that's just the nature of the NFL. But talent-wise, they're even better this year, Cam. And at quarterback, they swapped out Case Keenum / Sam Bradford and I guess Teddy Bridgewater a little bit, and they got Kirk Cousins in an upgrade at quarterback. Now, I've seen some who put the 13-3 Vikings at number 12 on their list, which is laughable to me looking at you, Sports Illustrated. But Minnesota, I think, is one of the, if not maybe even the outright best team in the NFC right now. Talent-wise, I trust Mike Zimmer. This team, the reality is if they don't make it to the Super Bowl, it's going to be viewed as a little bit of a downgrade.
No doubt. I mean, big-time expectations with this team, especially with the money that Kirk Cousins is getting, $84 million, all guaranteed. All right, so let's give some respect to the champs as they check in at number 1, the Philadelphia Eagles. And usually when a team wins a Super Bowl, there is a step back that next year. But, Tom, I mean, in theory, they're getting an addition here via Carson Wentz.
Yeah, which is so weird to think about that they won the Super Bowl with their backup quarterback. And the Super Bowl MVP will not start week 1, most likely this year, which is unheard of to think. The reality is, though, Philadelphia, Cam, it's so difficult to repeat. It's very difficult to do. Everyone wants to take you down. You are no longer the underdogs like Philadelphia was last year. You're now the favorites, and that's why they're number 1. They deserve to be number 1. They didn't lose as much as they could have lost. Yeah, they lost Frank Reich, their OC, and yeah, they lost John DeFilippo, their quarterback's coach, and they lost guys like Patrick Robinson and Bo Allen, but they brought in Michael Bennett and Mike Wallace. This team is built to last, so even if they don't repeat, and I don't think that they will, I think that Philadelphia is not going to go away anytime soon. I do not believe that this team is a one-hit wonder like, I hate to say it, Cam, but like the Baltimore
I knew that was coming.
Ravens were.
I was going to say
it's a fair analogy, though, and you know it.
I was going to say the Giants as well.
That's fine, too.
All right, can we go with that?
The Giants
Ravens?
only won when Tom Coughlin was on a hot seat.
Exactly. All right, so the Eagles are there at number 1. Let's summarize the entire list of our power rankings. Dolphins, Jets, Cardinals, Bills, the bottom 4 teams, Browns, Colts, Bengals, and Chicago Bears, 28 through 25. We got Tampa Bay, Washington, New York, and the Baltimore Ravens as the next slate of 4. And then Seattle, Denver. Oh, they played at a Super Bowl a couple of years ago. Oakland, Detroit, Kansas City. They're at number 16. And then just outside the top 10, Dallas, Houston, Carolina, the Chargers, and the 49ers. Top 10, Tom, we got Tennessee, Green Bay, Pittsburgh, Jacksonville, Falcons, Super Bowl contenders, you'd say?
Yeah, maybe not Tennessee, but I think the rest of those teams all harbor legitimate changes to make it to the Super Bowl this season.
And then the top 5 teams. We got the Saints, the Rams, the Patriots, the Vikings, and the Philadelphia Eagles. Our latest batch of NFL Power Rankings.